Welcome to Healthy and Wealthy Conversations, where we discuss everything that leads to health and wellness for your whole spirit, soul, mind, and body. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Healthy and Wealthy Conversations. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today's guest is Karen Ford. Let's get the show started. The first question that I have for you is, were you raised in a financial literate household?
Actually, I was not. Both my mother and father worked. She worked as a school teacher, and he worked at a glass plant. I'm one of seven children. So I didn't have a lot of bells and whistles, that kind of thing, the extra things that other children had growing up. But no.
When did you first acknowledge or recognize that you didn't have the financial education that you need to have?
I would have to say that would happen to be in my 20s and thinking, wow, am I going to live the rest of my life living hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck? So I would have to say in my 20s.
So, what did you first do to get that? Not like, where did you start off, and how did you know where to begin to start re-educating yourself or educating yourself properly?
I actually started listening to podcasts and listening to other people and saw and heard how they managed their money. And then I had a friend of mine tell me a few years ago that I was really good with money and numbers. And he actually recommended that I go get further training. And so that's when I became a master financial coach. And I absolutely love it. I'm actually a registered nurse, but I haven't practiced as a nurse for several years. And I know some people are probably thinking, wow, how did you go from being a registered nurse to a financial coach? And as a nurse, I helped people get healthy physically, but as a financial coach, I help people get healthy financially. And I'm still helping people, it's just in a different way.
Right. So, what is one of the first things you learned about money that you were not taught prior to learning?
Budget, learning how to budget. Budget is very empowering. I know some people think a budget is a four-letter word, but actually, if you don't budget, you're really shooting yourself in the foot because if you don't budget, your money's out of control. It's only when you learn to budget that you take control of your money.
Cool. So, if a client comes to you and their finances is in a mess, what are some of the things you would tell them to start doing to get themselves in control?
Well, first of all, I'm going to find out what their vision, what their dream is. Where do they see themselves 10 years from now, 5 years from now, or 1 year from now? Because if they can start seeing and identifying what they want for their lives, then they're going to start moving towards that. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have them list all of their bills from smallest to largest. And then we're going to take a look at their income and we're going to begin to budget. And that budget needs to be done each and every month. And if they have debt, which most people do when they come to see me, we're going to go over the steps to demolishing that debt.
Cool. So, what is how do I say this? Because for whatever reason, false information travels much faster than facts. And so, what are some of the money mistakes people make because it's information we receive growing up, it's information we receive from television or just from hearing from people that's completely false. That's kind of because when we learn, we most times we don't fact check, so we just believe it, and then when someone comes along and says that's wrong, we have a challenging time accepting that.
That's
So, what are
true.
some of the mistakes that we've been told that's not true about money?
Well, some mistakes people make, and which is not true, is some people think that you can get a good deal on a brand new car. That is false because the day that you drive that new car off that lot, within the first year, you're going to lose 28% of the value of that car. So that's mistake number one. It's really not better to buy a new car as opposed to a used car. It's actually better to purchase a used car, even if it's only a year or two old. Let somebody else take the depreciation on that vehicle. Another fallacy that people have is that it's better to lease a car. And actually, it costs you more in the long run when you lease a car because of all of the hidden fees. Another fallacy that people have is that it's okay to use credit cards as long as you make a minimum payment every month. Actually, credit card interest can go anywhere from 5% all the way up to 33%. So when you go to a register to make your purchase, those cashiers are trained to say, you know, you can save 20% off on your purchase today if you'll take out a credit card. And a lot of times people are innocent and they think, well, when I get that credit card in the mail, I'll cancel it. But 9 times out of 10, they don't cancel it. And then they end up using it month after month, and then they end up with a payment every single month because they're not paying that credit card off each month. So those are some fallacies that people have believed over the years, and they're absolute false, absolute false. They're not truth.
I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things, I guess you can say common sense told me was when you buy a new car, every time you drive it, the value of the car depreciates. And so the problem with that is your monthly payments don't depreciate with the value. So at some point, you're paying more for the car than it's actually worth. And
That's
I
so
don't
true.
think people recognize that because that's what we've been told, that it's better to buy it new. And of course, they add all of the new electronics or whatever the new thing is. So of course, people want the new stuff that goes along with it. And it's like, well, no, because you can't get your, no matter how good the car is when you sell it, you can never get the money back that you paid. So you're not making anything.
Right. You're chasing your tail, so to speak. Yeah,
Cool. Thank you for that. So,
absolutely.
so what is something someone can do to, I guess, because one of the problems I also think with finances, as I said in the beginning, is most parents don't actually teach not just their children with words, with actions on money. So we grow up not actually knowing really what, like we know it's this, thing you put in a wallet. We really don't know what it is though. And we don't know what to do with it really. And so what are some things parents can start doing better in their own life as well as doing so their children don't grow up to have the same, make them same money mistakes?
Well, we've all heard the old saying, actions speak louder than words. So if you don't want your children to get into some kind of credit card debt, some kind of financial situation like that, then you don't use the credit cards either. I know sometimes people think that that's easier said than done, but actually, if you make it a practice not to use the credit cards, you're going to be winning in the long run. Another thing that you can show your children is how to save money. Uh, uh, a visual is powerful. So, plastic jars or glass jars, one marked with savings, one marked with giving, one marked with spending. You can teach your children about money visually by having those jars in their room so they can see, oh, I save some, I spend some, I give some. That's another way to teach them. Something else to consider doing is you don't need to show your children your bills by any means, but teaching them, showing them, this is how mom and dad take care of the bills around here, and you could even simulate with your children. Let's say, mom and dad give you, simulate you're going to give them $1,000, but this is what has to come out of that $1,000 each and every month, and show them. So they're actually starting to think, hey, I need to make a plan. I need to make a plan for the money that I'm going to be spending.
Cool. Do you think it's how do I say this when you're speaking out children? If you can't put your child through school without a loan, is it best to not put them through college, or should you start teaching them, for those who have young children now, how to save for college so they don't have to get a loan?
Start teaching them when they're young how to save for college. And the second thing to do is there have been case studies that are prove that uh, people that go to college and also work a part-time job actually have a higher GPA than those who do not work a part-time job. Why is that? Because they're learning how to manage their time. They're having to manage a schedule of work, classes, study. Of course, college, you're supposed to have some social time and still have fun, but trust me, college students are making sure that they have their social time. So it's actually better if they work a part-time job while they are in college.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yes.
So, with all that said, is there one thing, because I know when we anything we're comfortable with is because we've been doing it for a long time, usually since we were a child. So it's easy, like tying your shoes, washing up, getting dressed. Money, unfortunately, we really don't know much about, and we haven't been doing it. So the moment you start talking money, people get scared, they get uncomfortable, they make excuses. And it's not because they don't want to, is they're afraid to deal with it. And so what is something people can do to make themselves understand that That is all the time we have for you today on Healthy and Wealthy Conversations. I want to thank our guest, Karen Ford, for stopping on by, and for you, the audience, for watching. Thank you. Have a great day.